Hello again, everyone. Welcome back to Dubs 101. Tom Fuller here. Got Larry Smith on the photography. We're going to talk about bleeder reamers today for Bill Harden, a friend of mine in safety. He's working down Texas City, and he's going to show you this video with hopes that you'll learn something about reaming out bleeders, being safe doing it, what to look for, the hazards associated with it, the proper use of the tool, and how we do things and how we used to do things. Now, I've been here 40 years in this refinery here at Catlettsburg, and back in the day we never had such tools as the bleeder reamers, and we had to resort to weld rods, 9-wire, anything that we could jab up in a bleeder, and that's the way we done things. And we don't do those things anymore. It's unsafe. You get covered up with oil, start a fire, you get burnt. There's a lot of hazards associated with running wires up into any type of bleeder, so you never want to do that anymore because we have the proper tool to be able to do it with. The bleeder reamer you see here and over here are 90-degree reamers. We also have them in the straight. Here's another example of a straight. And we also have them in a 60-degree. Here's a 60-degree that I cut apart to show how it works. It's your preference on what bleeder reamer that you need to perform the job, what clearance you have on the bleeder. You choose the proper tool. Now here at Catlettsburg, we take our bleeder reamers and we have them certified with a technician who has a test pump, and he will look at gauges, leak points. He'll pump them up to 1,000 pounds using a hydrostatic tool and check the bleeders, make sure everything's operating good, and then he wires this open with a car seal and sends it to the lead shift foreman. The side bleeder, he'll just tie it open with a car seal, and then he'll hand these to the lead shift foreman. And the lead shift foreman here owns these tools and hands them out to operations or pumpers. All of our tools that we buy mostly come from AMS. That's American Maintenance System down in Texas. Art and Phil down there make these for us, good people. I call them up and I'll order a bunch of them at a time, whatever we need for turnarounds or whatever. If we start to have tools that are expired or broke, we just get some new ones. They run about $1,500 a piece, so they're very expensive for a specialty tool to perform the job they're going to do, and we need to take care of them. Especially be careful with the ones that are cable driven, the 90 and the 60. The straights are, the drill bits are welded directly on the end of the shaft. Now, at no time will these tools ever come directly out. There's no way they'll blow out. They're beveled inside like a rising stem gate valve to prevent the rod from coming straight out of the tool. They have packing in them, similar to a valve. You can see here on my display the packing, and then the packing sleeve that tightens it up. And then the passage right here where the shaft goes through. Oil from your bleeder reaming procedure will come here and go through the gauge and out the little holes through your side bleeder, but can't come out through the handle because the packing is keeping it in check, sealed off. So I'm going to give you a quick rundown of a mock scenario where we're actually going to ream out this bleeder here. This is a 3/4 inch rising stem gate valve. Got a bull plug in it. We're saying that the product going through here is 500 degrees at 300 psi. So I'll give you a mock scenario that I train all of our interns and new hires on how to use a bleeder reamer, and we have a procedure that's wrote up. I wrote it for the refinery here that we follow. The main thing here is you need to have PPE to match the hazard. So if you have a high H2S environment here, you might want to consider SCBA. All right. Now the integrity of the tool is going to protect you if you check the packing and the technician has done his job to make sure there's no leaks. But if I was going to go out and do something like very high concentrations of H2S or HF acid or something immediately dangerous to your health, I might use extra PPE other than what I'm going to put on today. Okay, so this scenario here is just heavy gas oil. We're saying a common cracker charge feedstock that's 500 degrees, 300 pound pressure. Okay, now the first thing I want to do when I come out is I want to see what kind of tool do I need. Do I need a straight, a 60, or a 90? In this case, I've obtained a 90. So I would call my shift foreman and say, hey, this is Tom Ford. I need a 90-degree bleeder reamer. I'm going to be reaming out 500 degree, 300 pound pressure. So 1,000 psi rating tool is our standard. That's all we buy anymore. But there is still some floating around out there, like this one. There's 1,000 psi, 700 degree rating. Make sure your rating matches your hazard here. You want to make sure that you're not high pressure over your tool. Like if you was down at high pressure VGO, it might be 1,400 pounds. Then this tool would not be compatible with that because it's not rated that high. So you want to make sure your rating is compatible with what you're getting ready to do. So in this case right here, this tool is compatible with 500 degree, 300 psi oil. So I would obtain the tool. I would immediately go in and remove the car seal and close the side valve. I would check my gauge and just check and make sure everything operates properly. I'd also want to run the tool out and check the length with my bleeder and make sure I'm going to get all the way up through it. The pluggage on these bleeders normally occurs the first inch or two past the gate on the process side. So you're going to be pretty plugged down in this area, but the closer you get to the process, it's going to be a lot softer. So all you really need to do is get through that first inch or two of that gate, and it will be free. Check the tool over and make sure that your packing sleeve is snugged up. You always want to turn clockwise. You don't want to turn counterclockwise. Turning counterclockwise will unwind the cable, and we've had that happen. If you unwind the cable, it will look like this dog knotted cable right here. It's not in very good shape, and it could get stuck up inside the bleeder, whereas you might have the tool stuck up in there, can't get it out. Then you'll have to explain how you had to shut the unit down to get the bleeder reamer off the pipe, and that's not a very good scenario to be involved in. So turn it clockwise. It won't unwind, and follow the arrow. I like to put an arrow on the gauge to show you to turn clockwise always, and go the full length in and then come out. Now you might make a mental note, or you might take a measurement that all the way in this handle is going to be flush, and all the way out it's going to have maybe 8-10 inches right here. You might put a mark on it, or make a mental note that it's going to have to come out that far because it has to fully extend to get past this gate when you close this gate off. You don't want to close the gate down on the drill bit. It's a very hard drill bit. It could get stuck in there, and that's not a very good scenario either. Alright, so now I've got my tool, I've got my PPE on. I like using the face shield. The face shield is your friend. It's a very good tool. It prevents being splashed in the face, even though you have all your PPE on, hard hat, gloves, sleeves rolled down, hard toe shoes. You have your H2S monitor. You have safety goggles or safety glasses on. Well, the face shield is just that extra protection to keep any kind of splash off your facial area. All right? So that is something you definitely want to use whenever you're reaming out a tool. I'm going to put it right here to show that I am using it in this mock scenario. You also want to come out, visit the area, and see what's going on in the immediate area. You might have contractors or a group of personnel working in your area. Ask them politely, please leave, because you're going to ream out this bleeder, and you don't want to take any chances of something happening and them being in the area. And they'll always oblige, and they'll leave, and then you can call them up whenever you're done. Check around at your safety equipment. Fire extinguishers over here, make sure it's up to date, hasn't been used. Safety shower over here, go over there and check it out. Make sure that it is in service and it's going to work for you in case you need it. Your ingress, egress, make sure that you're able to get in and out of these areas. Fire monitor, you might go over and check it, fire it up, spray a little bit of water, make sure it's going to work properly for you. And of course tell the people in the control room that you're getting ready to ream out this bleeder, and they'll know what you're doing. Immediately whenever you come back out, check the valve, look at the area of the packing, the bonnet, make sure there's no leakages here. Is there any other exposures in the area you need to be concerned about? Maybe a heater's over here or a substation, the way the wind blows. Just take all this into account, because it's a what if in your mind that if something goes wrong with this procedure, you're prepared. After that, we're going to go ahead and pull this plug out. All right? Check your valve, make sure it's tight. Get this plug, loosen it up, and then, even though I got a splash shield on and I got all my PPE on, I always like to hold my hand, my glove, over top this as I'm taking this out, okay? And I always tell my students, have you ever seen Cool Hand Luke? And in Cool Hand Luke, he's saying, shaking it here, boss. So we want to shake it here, boss. shake that plug, shake that cap, make sure it's not holding pressure back. If a stream of oil starts coming down out of that plug, do we keep on going? No. We stop. We make sure this valve is tight. It's not leaking through. We'll keep going, shaking it here, boss. And once you get that plug out, then the first part of the process is started. Plug's out. Move it to the side. We hook up our bleeder reamer. Now I'm not going to tighten it all the way up as if I was in the field, but you would if you were actually doing this process. Okay, now that you have the reamer hooked up, and before you start opening the valve, tell the control room one more time, I'm getting ready to ream the bleeder out right now. This is Tom. I'm just giving you a heads up. Okay, thank you. Let them know what you're doing. If there's a big problem when you open up this gate valve, if it sprays all over the place, they'll know where you're at and what you're doing. Good communication is always an essential tool to performing the job the right way. Next thing you want to do, make sure your side valve's closed. Check that packing just one more time on the tool. You're getting ready to open up this valve. When you open up this valve, you assume it's plugged, as you were told it's plugged. It could physically charge this whole barrel, this tool up to this process line pressure. We want to look for leak points at the packing and the bonnet area, our connections, all the way through the tool. We're going to study things here. Open slowly, get the valve wide open, check for leak points, nothing happening, that's good. We want to open up the valve all the way, okay? That retracts the gate of the valve back in the bonnet and gets it out of the line of travel so the drill bit can go and do its work. Next thing I want to do is I'm ready to go ahead and start reaming. Start turning your tool clockwise. We don't want to go counterclockwise. Remember the cable will unwind. And start running it in. Now I cut a little window out of this nipple and a little window out of the pipe so you can see the tool do its work. And as it passes up through, it might be a little hard right there where the gate resides, but after it goes through that, it'll get really easy. And you can see what my drill bit's doing. This is an actual drill bit that you would use with a drill at your house, and it will drill all the way through some of the hardest material. You can see it appear up into the pipe. Now at this point, the tool is all the way in. It's done its job. As it passes through the pluggage, the 300 psi pressure is going to fill this barrel. And if you look at my cutaway, it's going to come down, it's going to appear at the gauge, it's going to appear at the bleeder. It's not going to work its way through the packing because we have the packing snugged up. It could or could not show reading. Do not rely on the pressure gauge to show you reading, because look how small these passages are. Pluggage from this line is going to go down inside your tool and maybe plug off the gauge. It happens all the time. But you're smarter than this hazard. You know that this tool is pressured up. You are through it. Now extract it. Continue turning clockwise. Pull it all the way out until you have that 8, 9 inches, whatever, or whatever your mark says there, or your memory shows you that that's how much rod was there. You've cleared the gate. Then we're going to close the valve off. Close the valve off tight. At no point during this procedure do you ever have two valves open, meaning the bleeder valve and the side valve on the bleeder reamer tool. That is a critical mistake. Process oil could shoot out of this valve and it'd be very hot at 500 degrees, could auto ignite, could burn you. No valves, two valves open at the same time, at no time. So we got the bleeder closed. The drill bit has cleared the gate. At this point, we want to point our bleeder reamer off in a safe area and open it up. Material could come out or maybe not. Remember, small passages right here. It could or it may not bleed off anything. But you know that this barrel has the pluggage in it now because you went up through the valve, and it could be pressured up to 300 pounds. So we want to take our bleeder reamer loose the same way we took that plug. And I always like to put my hand over it in case it wants to splash. It's going to start dripping. If it starts pouring out, do we continue on? No, we do not. We want to stop and make sure that we check our valve and it is tight. Continue on with loosening it on up. Shaking it here, boss. Cool hand loop. Good movie. Shake it. Get that off there. And then we want to put our bull plug back in. This is ready for somebody to decon the line or whatever we needed to do with it. Take the line down, drain it down, or whatever it was. We can call the people back to perform their work over there that we asked to vacate the area while we do this. We'll call the control room and let them know we're done with the bleeder reamer process. We'll be in the control room here in a minute. Now we want to take our tool that has the material from the pluggage inside it. It'll be filthy dirty. Go over and hook this up to a 150-pound steam source and just put a wisp of steam through it, clean it out, remove it from the steam, run it in and out, clean it off with some rags, and wash it again if necessary. You can also use some parts cleaner, a little bit of kerosene. Clean it up and return it to the shift foreman in a condition that can be recertified, so it's not filthy dirty, it's not tore up. The tool is returned. Our bleeder reamer is done its job. We got a plug back in it. It's been cleared, and people are returning back to work, and that's the end of the process. Our procedure is rather simple. If you go to think about it, it's far better than running a wire up in a bleeder and taking that chance on something splashing out on you. The main points of this procedure is the proper PPE, good communication, good ingress, egress. You're not going to trip over anything in case something goes wrong. You have to get out of the area. You have checked all of your safety tools, your safety shower and fire monitor and such. And this will be a non-event for everyone. So if anybody's got any questions, you can always call Tom Fuller or Larry Smith here at the Catlettsburg Refinery, and we'll answer any question you have concerning bleeder reamers. And Art down there at Texas AMS will supply you all the bleeder reamer tools that you need for alky, which are Monal, and high pressure, low pressure, all kinds of different tools for different units. They'll be able to help you at any time. So with that, have a good day, stay safe, and we look forward to talking with you.